John Carpenter's The Thing is a feckin' horror movie film masterpiece. The Thing is a 1982 sci-fi horror movie film directed by John Carpenter. It is the second adaptation of the book Who Goes There after the original 1951 film The Thing from Another World. The film stars an ensemble cast led by the absolute hero that is Kurt Russell. It follows a group of researchers who get stuck out in the icy cold of Antarctica after discovering the mysterious alien thingamabob that's out to kill them and replace them with copies of themselves. Our movie film begins with a flying saucer spinning about in space on its way to Earth. But now we find ourselves in Antarctica in 1982, where a couple of lads in a whirlybird are shooting at a poor woof woof. Clearly these lads are the bad guys as they are trying to kill a doggy. Meanwhile at the nearby camp we are introduced to our main lad McReady, played by Kurt Russell, who is getting bushed in the chest by a computer and isn't one bit happy about it.
Cheating bitch.
The whirlybird flies over the camp, so everyone runs outside like it's the feckin' ice cream man coming around. After it lands, one of these dopes ends up blowing his friend to Kingdom Come. The dog runs into the camp while Captain Cold from The Flash starts shouting some nonsense and attacks the crew while trying to kill the doggy. But this really doesn't go well for him. Hashtag dushed. With that lad now dushed as fuck, we meet the rest of our very confused cast of characters. We have Bennings and Dr. Copper, Windows and Blair, Niles, Palmer, Norris, Fuchs, Clark, Gary and Childs, played by the legend that is Keith David. So it turns out this lad was a Norwegian fiend who seems to have gone as mad as a bag of spiders. The lads wonder what happened at their camp to make him want to kill a doggy, so they go off to investigate. But while the lads are away, it seems like that dog gets up to some devilment. Over at the Norwegian camp, the lads find the place in an absolute state and find this guy who did a shite job while shaving.
My God, what the hell happened here?
But that isn't the only strange thing they find, as they also come across this giant ice cube that seems to have been burst open from the inside. They also find this fucked up looking thing outside.
Is that a man in there or something?
They bring the thing back to the base in order for an autopsy to be done on it, but it turns out this thing has all the same organs as a normal lad. Jesus, look at the fucking face on that. There's nothing fucking normal about that now. Meanwhile, the wolf gets put inside with the other dogs, but there seems to be something really off about that dog. I'm sure it's nothing. Oh fuck, I was wrong, it is a demon dog, and it's killing the other doggies. Quick lads, come save them.
I don't know what the hell's in there, but it's weird and pissed off, whatever it is.
Jesus Christ, look at that thing. No one would want to adopt that thing now. Oh fuck, it's evolving like a Pokemon. Kill it lads, kill it with fire. After barbecuing the shit out of the dog thing, they cut it open to find out that it was trying to copy the other dogs.
You see, what we're talking about here is an organism that imitates other life forms, and it imitates them perfectly.
Fuck, that's one fugly looking dog. Wanting some answers, the lads check out the Norwegians' videotape collection and discover that these mad bastards found something out there in the ice. So the boys head out to check out their find and come across a big feckin' spaceship. Later on, the lads question Mac about how the alien got there.
I don't know. Thousands of years ago it crashes and this thing gets thrown out or crawls out and it ends up freezing in the ice.
But Childs calls bullshit on Mac's theory and wants to know what Blair thinks.
You buy any of this, Blair?
But Blair, being the scientist he is, just stares off into space. But this Windows 95 screensaver is here to show us just how real the danger is and how the thing copies people. Blair looks on like a sad boy as he realizes if this thing gets out, the whole world is dushed, and that someone on the base could easily be one of these thingies. So they decide to store these things away, but Windows seems to be the only one who has the right idea what to do with them.
We ought to just burn these things.
Can't burn the find of the century. That's going to win somebody the Nobel Prize.
The only thing that thing is winning someone is a one-way trip to Dushtown. Jesus, now look at the feckin' mess it's making. Mac and Fuchs have a nice spot of gossip about Blair out in the truck while they read from his bonkers journal.
It needs to be alone and in close proximity with the life form to be absorbed. The chameleon strikes in the dark.
So is Blair cracking up or what?
McCready, there is still cellular activity in these burned remains. They're not dead yet.
Well, those things might not be dushed, but poor Al Bennings is. But the copy of him does a legger and the lads chase it down, and it lets out probably the coolest monster roar ever. But that doesn't stop Mac from burning the absolute shite out of it. Hashtag dushed. Mac isn't taking any chances, so he goes to get himself a flamethrower, but Gary is confused as to why they just murdered Bennings, so Mac has to explain it to him.
There was one of those things out there trying to imitate him, Gary.
McCready, I know Bennings. I've known him for 10 years. He's my friend.
Well, your friend is getting burnt to absolute dust now. The lads wonder where Blair has gotten to during all this madness, but while looking for him they learn that the bag of spiders has well and truly burst as he's wrecked the whirlybird and is busting Windows radio equipment. The lads try to calm him down, but he's having none of it.
You think that thing wanted to be an animal?
So they have a hardcore match that ends with Mac giving Blair the hardest sounding punch ever. He fucking bushed him. They lock this daft bastard out in the tool shed so he doesn't go apeshit again, but he warns Mac to keep an eye on everyone. Not really having a clue who is human and who is a thingy, the lads come up with a plan to test each other's blood to find out exactly who everyone is. But it turns out someone went and left the feckin' fridge door open and ruined all the blood, which leads to the group accusing each other of destroying it. While the grown-ups are fighting, Windows has a feckin' meltdown and goes for a gun, only to be stopped by Gary.
You guys gonna listen to Gary? You gonna let him give the orders? I mean, he could be one of those things!
Imagine if all the things did turn into Gary's. It'd be just like that Fallout vault.
Hey! Gary!
Gary decides to calm everyone down by relieving himself of command, and Mac takes over, who gives the lads a pep talk after burning the blood samples.
I know I'm human. And if you were all these things, then you'd just attack me right now. So some of you are still human. We're gonna find out who's who.
He separates the suspected things from the other lads and has them drugged just in case they decide to attack. While this is going on, Mac records a drunken tape detailing what happened.
And I wouldn't be fond of drinking, but when I go at it, I do go at it awful and very hard. I do have 45 pints in about 2 hours. And I'd go for probably, and I'd have 10 more anyway. And then I'd get up the following morning and morning to have the fry on. And I'd go ahead again. And there'd be no fucking stopping me. I'd take the shirt of any man's back. Bastards.
But it turns out that Fuchs has gone missing, so the others go looking for him and call up to Blair to see if he's seen anything. But sure, Blair is sound now and hasn't seen a thing.
I'm not gonna harm anybody, and there's nothing wrong with me. And if there was, I'm all better now.
Says the lad eating a tin of beans in the cold with a rope beside him. Yeah, good luck, Blair, you daft bastard. They end up stumbling upon the remains of Fuchs as he self-dusted himself to stop the thing from getting him. Windows goes back inside while Mac and Niles head off to Mac's tower to see who's left the lights on in there. Sometime later, the others decide to lock the place down tight, but then see Niles stumbling back without Mac as he found his torn up clothes at the tower and now believes he's a thing. But Mac busts his way back in and tells them to leave him be or they'll all go boom boom.
Anyone messes with me and the whole camp goes.
The boys try to get him, but nothing is stopping that glorious beard and hair, and Mac beats them off. But poor Al Norris has a feckin' heart attack. So Mac lets the doc check on him, but it doesn't go the way they think it will. Having chewed down on a bit of doctor, the thing goes feckin' daft and Mac burns the shite out of it, but not before its head decides to go on walkabout and grow some spider legs before trying to do a legger out the door.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
#dushed. After all that fucking madness, Mac wants to tie everyone up, but Clark is having none of it and tries to stab Mac. #dushed. With everyone tied up, Mac comes up with a way to test who is a thingy. So he takes some blood from everyone, and if someone's blood goes apeshit after being heated up, then they are a thing. One by one he tests the blood samples until Gary starts to give him some lip, so he says he will do his last.
We'll do you last.
Get away from me!
But fuck, it turns out it was Palmer who was the thing, and it's not happy it's been found out. This being a horror film, of course Mac's flamethrower refuses to work, and it looks like it's curtains for windows as Palmer has a spot of him. Mac finally manages to burn the fuck out of this lad, who goes for a bit of a stroll outside before getting blown to fucking bits. He finally gets to test everyone else, and it turns out they are all sound lads, even feckin' Gary. They head outside to give Blair the test, but that mad bastard has disappeared, and it looks like he's been a busy bee. He got all that built by himself in like a day? That's more than I do in a year. While the lads get ready to blow up Blair's ship, Charles decides to go for a bit of a walkies. But don't worry about him, lads. Keith David knows how to handle himself in a fight. The Blair thing cuts the power, knowing it can go sleepy time in the cold.
Wants to freeze now. It's got no way out of here. Just wants to go to sleep in the cold until the rescue team finds it.
But Max says fuck that and decides if they're going down they're taking this thing with them. So they start to blow the camp the fuck up. So this blows up and this fucking blows up and this blows up and that, and the whole fucking place gets wrecked. Anyway, after blowing the ground floor to bits, the lads head down to the generator room to destroy it, but run into a bit of a problem.
Generator's gone. Any way we can fix it? It's gone, McCready.
So the lads start to plant explosives about the place and get picked off one by one because they split up like feckin' Egypts. It's just Mac left now, and this giant thing attacks him before bursting through the floor. Fucking hell, look at the size of that yoke. It yells at Mac, but he's having none of its shite.
Yeah, fuck you too!
Having survived one hell of an explosion, Mac has a seat outside and thinks it's all over. That is until Charles shows up, and one of the coolest end lines to a movie film ever is said.
What do we do?
Why don't we just wait here for a little while? See what happens.
And the movie film is dushed. The Thing is easily one of my favourite horrors of all time, if not one of my favourite films ever. The film has a great sense of paranoia that just builds and builds as the film continues. It draws you in with its intense opening and slow burn approach to horror. The idea of anyone and your mother possibly being a thing just leads to some amazingly tense scenes that all lead to some of the best gore and creature work ever. You have well realised and fleshed out characters who each play their roles in the film to perfection, all led by Kurt Russell in one of his best performances ever. Carpenter and Russell are a dream team combination, as they would also make Escape from New York, Big Trouble in Little China, and Escape from LA. The film's setting also allows it to stand out amongst horror films, as most films are set within the confines of a town or city or even a cabin in the woods. But The Thing takes isolation horror to the next level, having it set in a place on Earth where there is no chance that help will ever get to you on time. And if the alien creature doesn't kill you, then the harsh weather and terrain will. The Thing has some of the best practical effects ever shown on cinema. From the creature effects to the gore, it all comes together to create some of the best movie monsters in film history. Practical effects are the way to go in horror when possible, and the best example of this is when you compare the 1982 The Thing with the prequel 2011 film, which unfortunately used CGI to bring its monsters to life. As you see them side by side, there is no comparison. Practical effects will always be creepier and more effective than CGI. The 1982 film's effects still hold up to this day, while the 2011 ones are already outdated by CGI standards. It's crazy to think that a film that is so well loved now was initially seen as a bad film, as critics and audiences hated it at the time of its release. It wasn't until years later that people started to appreciate it for how amazing the film truly is. I watch The Thing at least once a year, and I think it's easily John Carpenter's best film and one of the greatest horrors of all time. It's got everything a horror fan could want, from great characters, amazing creature work, gruesome gore, a brilliant soundtrack, and also will satisfy the psychological horror fan as they try to figure out who is a thing and who is human. If you haven't seen The Thing yet, then I highly recommend that you throw this bad boy on and sit back and enjoy an absolute horror classic. I give The Thing 10 out of 10 Horshes.